Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you all animals? So, of course, today is the day of the root chakra, and of course, we will be talking about the animal consciousness. Maybe as you can tell, I have made some light arrangements, so maybe you can see me a little bit better. And as always, I just figure it out 3 days before ending the whole year of connections, and I didn't do it well. I did it in my own way, which is whatever. So, well, so before you see it by yourselves, I will show you. What I did was just to cover this light with a paper, and I stuck it there in the light. And this is a dirty T-shirt that I just wrapped the light with. It's just a way in which I expect it would last the next 2 days. So as you see, no one would hire me to make the scenography for theater or a movie. So let's talk about animals. So when we say the word animal, usually two thoughts can come to our mind. One of them would be the concept of the animals that we love, most of the people love animals, so the beautiful creatures of nature. And in the other hand, we have the negative concept of animal, which is when people used to use this word to describe someone that is lower, that is a bad person, or that is unaware of things. Regarding the animal kingdom and the energy of animals, we usually take the concept of animals like the unconscious part of nature, like if the animals are unconscious. So why am I saying animal consciousness? We have to first understand what is the animal unconsciousness to understand why we think that they are unconscious and lower from the human perspective. And also, we will try to understand why, when we speak about consciousness, we usually tend to humanize the animals, like if the animals should behave like humans in order to be considered conscient. So let's talk about that, when animal consciousness is nothing related to human consciousness. So remember from the topic from yesterday that the first beings existing with life in this planet were the phytoplankton. But this cyanobacteria creates the phytoplankton, and they exist because they manage to storage energy from the sun, creating its own reserve of energy through structures that are organic. So these organic structures of nature had all the energy inside. So this pushed some of the other bacteria to find out that they didn't need to take the energy from the sun, so they started to eat those phytoplankton, and that's how, by movement, emerged a new way of living beings that are called the zooplankton. So this zooplankton had created a new branch in the existence of life in this planet, because they didn't brought the light of the sun to make the food, but they started to use the carbohydrates and the oxygen that the plants were creating, living. It was because of this that these new animals, this new bacteria creating the zoo, and this zooplankton made the creation of an entire new branch of existence that we call animalia. Animalia comes from the Latin anima, animae, that means the one that moves, the one that is animated. So this kingdom, this new kingdom, which is the animal kingdom, is called like this because they started to become animated. They started to move. And why they moved? Because all the energy that they got from the oxygen and that they got from the carbohydrate, the carbohydrates, it gives all the electrical pulses needed in order to move, to search for this energy. So that's why, because they are moving all the time, they are animated. And because they are animated, that's why they were called the kingdom of animalia. Animalia kingdom is a huge kingdom that is not only including cats and dogs, but they include thousands of species that exist along the planet. And today, actually, we kind of catalog like around 950,000 species of animals in the entire planet. But actually, science believes that there are around 8 million species of animals. So it's a huge amount of animals that we don't know. And the reason why is because we actually know less than the 30% of the planet. Remember that the rainforest and some forests, we don't know. Remember that underground, we have no clue in the case what else could be down there. And also, we have no clue about the oceans. We just know a little about the deep parts of the ocean. So we actually don't know more than the 70% of the entire planet. This is why they expect for it to be thousands and millions more. Most of the species of animals that exist in this planet are really tiny. So most of them, we cannot see them, or we need some microscopes in order to see them. But and many others are under the ground and so on. So the animals that we can relate with are just a tiny portion of animals that in which we have a contact with, like bigger animals. So animals have this quality of movement, and this is the quality that allow them to spread, to expand along, and to be so many. Because as the plants needs to be grounded in a place and adapted to a territory or adapted to an environment, weather, the animals can move along. So they can go from one territory to another, adapting themselves to different environments. And because of this adaptation that they are able to do, they are changing a lot according to the new environments. This improves the existence of many species, new species all the time, but also it implies many of them extinct. This is not something new. This is not something from now. Since the very beginning of the first animals, always there have been species extinct. And for each species that is extinct, a new one is born. So the incredible thing about the animals is that they can adapt really fast. And this is because they eat in many different environments. So when they take different foods, they adjust the cells to assimilate that new food. So the proteins, the vitamins, and all the materials that goes within the cells make changes in the DNA in order to improve the ability to absorb these new elements, and also the weather, the environment, the colors. It starts to make changes in the skin, in the internal structure of the being, that goes changing a little bit of the body. So because of this movement moving along, we have been adapting to every environment around, and this creates many species. But also, why some species disappear? Because sometimes one of those individuals have the best structure, the best strength. They can show proof to the other ones that they can do much more and to adapt better. So whether it is a male or whether it is a female, other males and other females will choose these new subjects that have a perfect preparation, and they will leave behind those who are not able to adapt. And this is a natural selection that makes a species stay behind and a new species to become. So this entire process of tiny changes is what we call ex volveretio. In Latin, ex volveretio means to move once and again in circles, in spirals, like rolling in a territory from one spot to another, coming from one place to another, but rolling without any sense. And that's what we call evolution. Evolution is the action of rolling around. Important thing to know about evolution, because there's people that can tell, I don't believe in evolution. And not believing in evolution, it's weird to say, because evolution is a fact. It's not a matter of belief. Why is the fact evolution? Because it's something that you can prove. It's something that you can check, that you can acknowledge, that there are many things that can prove to you that evolution exists, because it's something that was tested. It's something that we can prove in our own life. Evolution is there. So it's not about believing or not. The problem here is that we think that when people say a theory, it's like it might not be. And also, because theory is not the same as hypothesis. A hypothesis is like, I don't know. But a theory is something that has been worked with. So the important thing to know about the theory of evolution is that it's not explaining exactly what happened, the truth. It's explaining a way in which things could have been. And this is a very important thing to understand, because we think, or we believe, that when we say evolution, it's like whether you believe that was exactly like this, or whether you don't believe because we came from aliens. But the thing is that the theory of evolution tells you a path of how things go, but they cannot tell you exactly what happened. So maybe some aliens came and changed our structures and create new species, but it doesn't take away the idea of evolution. So evolution is there. Evolution is there even if we believe that aliens came. Okay? So it's not against those ideas. It's important to understand that some people, when they speak about evolution, they just deny all the other possibilities of how beings could have been created. And in the spiritual path, there are some people that say, no, I believe that we came from there, so I don't believe in evolution, that we took a path to be what we are today. But the problem is that the people from this evolutionary thinking are missing a part, which is that evolution is a way to explain the path. but it doesn't explain all the things that happened. So they must be open to see maybe, perhaps, many things had happened in the middle. And in the other hand, the spirituality should be also should understand that even if we believe that we came from somewhere else or someone have come here, it doesn't goes against the idea that we have to take a path of evolution in order to develop what we are. Okay, so they are not different things, they are the same thing. Okay, just that we have to be open. So first thing about the animal kingdom, why they exist? Basically because a bacteria said, why should I do the photosynthesis processing the light if I have the result right aside of me? Better I eat that plant and I have everything. So I can have the product to create vitamins, to create protein and all the things inside my body. So I already have it. So suddenly someone from aside, another plankton said, well, why would I have to eat the plant to produce the protein if I already have the other being that have done that process for me? So better I eat this animal, and that would be easier. So that's how the food chain is created. It's just different molecules trying to save energy in order to not to waste all the energy that they have, that they could lose during the process. So basically they started to grab it from other beings. So they started to eat one another, plants and animals, all of them, to improve better the energy and to not to waste it. So an animal is moved to save this energy in order to save three main needs. The three main needs is hunger, sleep, or tiredness, and pleasure. Hunger is the movement that takes me to find food to feel fulfilled, to storage energy. So once I got all the energy, I need to sleep to be able to gain back all the energy that I lost finding the food. Third, I find homeostasis by pleasure. When I start to feel like everything is complete, I feel homeostasis. And in that moment is when my cells can divide. So that's why it's reproduction through pleasure. So the animal world is moved by the unconsciousness of these three main needs. Remember that all the animal kingdom, what it's trying to do is to find homeostasis, which is the balance that we feel with pleasure. So everything is fine with this homeostasis. And in order to reach it, we need to save energy by sleeping and to look for this energy by eating. Okay, so both of them brings me homeostasis that allows me to multiply, to reproduce, and to make a transcendence of myself. So we humans, we are part of this animal kingdom. We are animalia. And this is why all of us animals, we have these main three needs: to eat, to sleep, and to have pleasure or reproduce. All of us as humans, we are still feeling these main unconscious needs, because I don't know anyone from the planet Earth that can live without eating or drinking, without sleeping, and of course without having pleasure. And pleasure is not only about having sex. Pleasure is also about reading a book, singing, painting, having a conversation, something that makes me feel stable in my homeostasis. So now, when we think about animals and all this food chain, we usually start to think why we need to suffer. Why do we need to, the animals kill one another in order to eat? And the reason why we do this, we put a morality on that, is because we look into nature with our human point of view of morality. But in order to understand why this was created, we should not see it from the point of view of a human. We have to see it from the point of view of a molecule, because the molecules are the ones that created everything. From the point of view of molecules, we have to remember that molecules are trying to absorb energy, to adapt energy, okay? They are just trying to save as much as energy as they can. When you think in this way, you have to picture the entire nature like groups of molecules trying to find new molecules in order to save energy. So the animal kingdom found a way in which these molecules can find as much energy as they can all around the environment. So this is why these molecules, they started to create complex organisms that are able to find much more energy. This is why when you see a lion and a zebra, for example, just look the lion as if it is a lot of molecules that they are in a lack of protein. So they need the protein that are in the molecules of the zebra. So millions of molecules have created a lion in order to gain as much as protein as they can. So just look the lion and the zebra as conjunction of molecules that they eat one another. And the zebra, of course, they eat the grass to take all the minerals and vitamins and all the things that the vegetal kingdom can give to them. So this is a constant chain that is not about an animal eating another one. It's not a God creating the beauty of animals and then just saying, now eat one another. No, this is not how it was. This is a process of molecules trying to earn as much energy as possible. So of course that when we animals turn out to be human, this point of view starts to change a little bit. But that's something we are going to talk about tomorrow. Now let's talk about the animal consciousness and how it is different from saying human consciousness. Okay, what it is, the animal consciousness, and how can we apply it? Animal. What animal means? Animal means movement, and it comes from Latin anima. Anima is the origin of animated, which is also a word for soul. Like in Spanish, we say alma. It comes from anima, that means animated. Okay, so it means the soul, the ghost. The animal, it's basically the soul. And what is the soul? It's the essence, the energy that moves the body, and is the one that stores all the information through the emotion. So the animal consciousness is related straight to the soul. Sometimes we used to think that the soul is something trapped inside the body, which is the animal reality, and that we have to set the animal, the soul free from this state of animal that we are. But actually, that's completely mistaken, because the soul is the animal. The soul is the animal part that we have inside. And that's the conscious aspect of the animal kingdom, el alma, the soul. Why the animal consciousness is the soul? The soul is the one that has all the gifts of a human, of a being, has all the gifts, the attributes. And how can we get the attributes? By development. So let's think about this. If the soul is the movement is the one that takes us to evolution. Evolution. And what it is, evolution is a development, which means to unveil. Development is unveil something. And we start to roll around, to develop, finding through new actions, attitudes, how to awake new attitudes, which are the attributes. So the gifts that the soul has within is basically attitudes and attitudes that were developed in the path of evolution from this movement that the animals have done because of the soul. That means energy. So can you see the path that we have taken? So the soul is the result in the shape of aptitudes, attitudes, and attitudes in the process of development in evolution through the movement of the animal. So what is the result of this consciousness of evolution in the soul? That the consciousness aspect of the animal kingdom uses the unconscious needs of the animal kingdom, which is hunger, tiredness, and pleasure, in order to find different options and ways. The animal kingdom is never closed to any possibility to survive. It's always open to many different options. It's never closed to anything. It is always expecting to adapt to a new environment. Why the animal consciousness is related to be open to every possible path? Well, it's easy, because the only reason why we are here and we exist here is just because animals dare to change, dare to adapt. There is no animal that will attach itself to the past. Any animal in existence will do anything as possible to be able to adapt to the future. The question is, do we have animal consciousness? Or we just attach ourselves like a vegetal consciousness to one spot and we don't want to move? So all the attributes from the animal consciousness are things that we know, which are to play, laugh, sing, invent, to dream, to seek for, to uncover, discover, to know, and to be wise. So all these attributes are from the animal kingdom, not from the human kingdom, because these attributes were solutions that many animals, many species have found in order to solve hunger, tiredness, and pleasure. These are attributes that many animals share with us. It's not only a human thing. Sometimes when we see, for example, an animal laughing, we usually tend to think that it's laughing like a human, like a person, but actually it's not. Actually, we humans are laughing like an animal. Okay? In order to awake our animal consciousness, we have to first recognize where are our animal unconsciousness, which is our hunger, our tiredness, and our pleasure. Where are those things that we need to work with? And on the other hand, we have to awaken the potential of the animal consciousness by doing like other animals do, which is to play, to laugh, to sing, to dream. But in order to be connected to the animal consciousness, we have to always be open to any possible path, to any possible change. And I was doing that today because I have to adapt to many changes today, many things that have changed suddenly. So I'm really tired because of that, and I had to take all my animal side today in order to adapt. But I will explain everything next week because I am not in the mood to explain anything today besides this. The vibration today is Qo. The statement today is I am the world's root.